Uy, ma'am.
Anong sabi niya?
Pera ni ma'am.
Hello po, good afternoon.
Siya,
MP, mga alas 4 pa po mag-start ha.
Ano muna ako, mag-sign muna ako ng document.
Okay, no problem po. Take your time, MP. Salamat po.
Thank you.
Hi.
Yeah, good afternoon. Good afternoon, good morning.
Mr. Wahid,
Yes.
good afternoon, MP Aida Silongan.
Yes, good afternoon
every-
to and assalamualaikum to all.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So, happy to see you again.
Yeah, likewise here.
Yeah. Here is 3 p.m. and I think in Philippines is also around 4, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good
It's also-
afternoon, Mr. Agus.
Good afternoon. Assalamualaikum. Yeah, in fact, I just arrived in Bali for our event tomorrow. So that's exactly the same time zone now. But I'm going to be only observers, right? Or taking absent.
Mr. Flo, nice to meet you. I think we haven't met before.
Oh, we haven't. Nice to meet you. So I am the new parliamentary advisor for the WFD program
Oh.
in Bangsamoro.
Okay, nice to meet
So,
you.
yeah, likewise. I assume we'll see more of each other in the future. So yeah.
Yeah, I think this is the group, the team of MP Solongan and WFD team, as well as the WFD Indonesia colleagues, as well as Dr. Cuswanto is here. So maybe we can start our meeting or our discussion by way of, yeah, I think it's It's a simple meeting wherein we will discuss the primary, the result or preliminary result of the study requested by the Office of MP Silongan regarding the ex-combatant in Indonesia, in Aceh, Indonesia. So yeah, I think I can give the floor to Mr. Coswanto so that we can start this afternoon meeting.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mahid. Honorable guests, MP Aida Silongan, Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Mr. Mahid Rahman, Program Director, Program Coordinator for WFD in Bangsamoro, Mr. Agus Wijayanto, Mr. Flo, and Ms. Mona, and other distinguished guests. Thank you very much for the opportunity for this afternoon to present our study about reintegration process of Aceh Free Movement, which we call it GAM. So later on, I will use term GAM. So it means that it is a free movement armies. So it is to be sure that if I call it GAM, so it means that it is a free movement armies. So let me share some. Right. All right. Can you see this presentation well?
Not yet, we cannot see it. Yeah, that's it. We
Yeah,
can see
very
now.
good. Yeah.
Okay. So last week I went to Lok Sumawe. Lok Sumawe was previously a base camp for GAM. I call it it is a form Aceh Free Movement combatants. And I met some of former combatants. We discussed about how do they do right now, and I heard a lot of stories how they restart their life. So in short story, have a good living in Aceh, but other they still be ordinary people. They still living in the poverty. But I heard the stories, but they do not want to go to another conflict. So they want to the situation become more stable and peace become more sustainable. So that story that I heard last week
Sabi ka lang
when
kay
I went
Mag-smile.
to Lok Sumawe to Aceh, and I
Ganito
will
lang.
tell
Hindi,
the
hindi
story
mag-smile,
in a
mag-smile lang.
structural
Aura.
way
Tinan ko yung tsura ko.
related to related to the whole story of the ex-combatant. So that only the story of the former combatant in Lok Sumawe, but I will tell the story about the whole ex-combatant in Aceh. And our discussion will follow 5 agenda from introduction, history of conflict resolution in Aceh, post-conflict key events, the reintegration processes, and finally the conclusion of the study. So we begin with why did we conduct this study? So actually, Aceh and Bangsamoro have similarities. First, that both Aceh combatants and Bangsamoro combatants demanded implementation of Sharia law. And it has a similar route. Right now, that Aceh and government of Indonesia agreed upon a peace agreement in 2005, but in Bangsamoro in 2014, and right now in the process of the reintegration. But Aceh has conducted the reintegration process previously, so this can be a lesson learned to be learned both by Bangsamoro and other countries in the world to maintain sustainable peace both in in Aceh and Bangsamoro. So that's why we conduct this study. And this study will answer 12 questions. These questions are derived from the discussion with MP Aida Silongan about what is the salient feature of Aceh reintegration of ex-combatant. Is there any law or passed by government of Indonesia to provide assistance? How Aceh established forum for ex-combatant? To what extent development assistance can support the peace transition? How can the assistance help reintegration process? And what are key challenge issues and concerns? So this paper attempt to answer those 12 questions into a more systematic ways. We begin with the story. I have presented before, so I do not want to repeat again. So in short story, Aceh conflict began in 1963, and the second conflict started in 1976, and the conflict related to the demand from Aceh to be separated from Indonesian unitary states because
Nawala. Humina ang signal, Mahid.
Yes, yata. Yeah, Mr. Akoswanto, are you there? Maybe, yeah. Previously, hindi lang tayo yung mahina yung signal.
Kala ko tayo lang meron.
Yeah, we will just wait for Mr. We will just wait for the expert to come back, hopefully. Yeah. But I think MP he captured all the questions that I think it's back.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I don't know why. It might be the internet's problem.
Yes.
Okay, so let me continue. I'm so sorry for the technical issues. So here we go. So and then the conflict end in 2005 when the MOU, the Peace Agreement Treaty, was signed by Indonesian government and Aceh Free Movement. And then it is continued to the next step, the commissioning, the mobilization, and reintegration process. And up to recently, now it has been about 16 years after the agreement has been reached, and Indonesia and GAM remain be able to maintain the peace, and it is a very fortunate. And what are key events that make Indonesia and GAM can maintain peaceful? Actually, in 2005, there were three kind of activities that are very crucial. First is decommissioning. So it is mandated by the MOU that all GAM or for combatants, they must hand over their guns to Aceh monitoring mission. So there were about 840 guns. And the second step, Indonesian government had to withdraw non-organic troops from Aceh. In response of that, GAM, they dismissed the exile cabinet. So actually they formed kind of the state and they dismissed the cabinet and they established a new organ for GAM, which is called Majelis. It is kind of the new structure. And then in 2005, it started the reintegration. All GAM combatants, they can return to their villages and join to the society, find a job, and start the new life. And in 2006, a new law on local governance was enacted. It gives Aceh Special Autonomy Fund. It is kind of a fund to fund the development in Aceh. And also, according to the law, Aceh people, include GAM, they are able to establish local political parties. It is only happen in Aceh, not other area in Indonesia. And those parties, they are able to participate in the general election and also in the governor election in 2006. So it is a very crucial because it is also play pivotal roles in maintaining the Aceh peaceful, because the GAM, they can secure seats in local parliaments and also the secure leadership in Aceh provincial government. So it is quite significant in the and then what is special fund? It is in the research question number 9. MPI Dasilokan asking what is special autonomy fund? It is kind of special. It is a kind of fund given from government of Indonesia to Aceh to fund the development. The amount is 2% of total national general allocation fund. It is 2% of total fund given to other area in Indonesia. So it's quite big. In average, is about 3.5 trillion rupiah or 365 million in 2008. And totally from 2008 into 2020, Aceh received about 675 million US dollar from the government. And the money are used to fund the development. There are 7 areas to be funded by the Special Autonomy Fund. First, infrastructure development. Second, economic development. Third, poverty alleviation. Fourth, education, social, health service. And the 7 is maintaining the peace. To maintain the peace, it is one of the use to maintain the peace is to facilitate the reintegration of former combatants into the society. So it can be used to facilitate the reintegration process. And in the reintegration process, it took a very long process. It was very long processes, and I divided into 4 phase of the reintegration. The first phase in 2005 to 2006. It is a very fundamental phase. In the beginning, the government of Indonesia provided about 200 billion rupiah to local government of Aceh, and the money then dispersed to GAM elites members, so to Majelis. It is kind of the organic GAM structure, and Majelis, the GAM organization, then distributed the money to ex-combatant. So that's the beginning of 2006, 2005 and 2006. Later on, in 2006 to 2012, in 2006, the government of Aceh stipulated a decree to establish an independent body, independent agency to facilitate the integration. And it is called Aceh Reintegration Agency. And it consists of delegates from Indonesia, delegates from Aceh combatants, and also intellectual and non-profit NGO in Aceh. However, in 2006, in the early, the GAM members, they withdrew from the membership because they feel that their interests were not accommodated. And then on April, the agency was re-established, and the title was changed into Aceh Peace and Reintegration Agency. And the GAM members, the former combatants, they facilitate in a body called joint settlement forum. So it is part of the agency, but they have their own like on board. And then the reintegration process running very well from 2006 to 2012. In 2012, the governor of Aceh decided to stop the reintegration program because he felt the Aceh former combatants have integrated well into the community, so the program was stopped. And then in 2013, many former combatants attempted to re-establish this organ because they feel some functions that should be done by the agency have not fulfilled yet. So in 2013, the agency was re-established and the name was changed into the Agency for Peace and Peace Strengthening and Reintegration of Aceh. And then in 2015, the body was strengthened by the stipulation of law. Previously, the agency was established using only the governor decree, but in 2015, it is kind of stronger regulation because the parliament and also the government, they stipulated a konun or local regulation. Maybe it is related to what you did today in Bangsamoro that want to create a law as a basis for the reintegration process. But in Indonesia, it happened only in 2015 and previously only used the governor decree. So it's kind of less stronger than the regulation. So next. So the basis I have mentioned in the research question, was there any law passed by government of Indonesia? I have mentioned before that the law passed only in 2015 and previously only used the governor decree and presidential instruction. So basis of all the activities was MOU Helsinki that mandates the reintegration process should be conducted by both government of Indonesia and GAM. And later on, how about the funding? So you can see in this table, start from 2005 to 2010, most funding came from national government, from central government. About 1.8 trillion state budget were dispersed to facilitate the reintegration process. And about 377 billion US dollar, if so if we want to calculate it into US dollar, about 188 million US dollar from the state government and about 3 billion US dollar from the local government. This is from 2008 2005 to 2010. And start from 2007 to 2022, after local government, so you can see here, local government provided those money after 2008. It means that in 2008, after local government of Aceh, they received special autonomy fund and they provided some amount of money to facilitate the reintegration. So you can see here in total about 600 billion are provided by local government of Aceh to facilitate the reintegration process. And you can see here there were some missing data from 2011 2016 because in this case we cannot calculate the number because it started in 2011 to 2016. The money were distributed into several agencies, not only the reintegration agency. So it's split into many agencies to conduct the reintegration process. And who will receive that kind of money. So the beneficiaries of economic and social assistance consist of 4 beneficiaries. First, former combatants. The MOU only mandates 3,000 combatants to be able to receive the money. However, the number is bigger than 3,000. So there are 3,000 organic member and GAM who already surrendered before MOU, and the supporter of GAM who are not soldiers. And the second, the victims of conflict. It is the victims of conflict can be GAM, can be civilian, and can be military officers. And former political prisoners and other groups like former pro-Indonesian militia. So those 4 groups are were eligible to receive a reintegration fund from local government through Aceh Reintegration Body. So, and your question again, how about the women, female combatants? So it is very unfortunate, Ms. Aida Silongan. I have interviewed 2 commander of Inong Bale, female, the leader of female combatants, and she cried a lot that she didn't receive any single fund from the reintegration. And I was asking why. So actually there are 2 reasons. The first, most of the female combatants, they have husband that also combatant. So the only head of the family, they receive the money. And the women one, they didn't receive that. So because the male, they have obligation to feed the family, but for the female, they relies on their husband. So that's the first reason. And the second reason, actually, the number of GAM is quite actually was very high. The number is higher than listed in the MOU. So the money is quite low. So they have to prioritize the higher ranking. So it's kind of, and however, they receive any empowerment program. They receive a kind of program like trainings, job training, etc. And conducted by the government of Aceh. So they didn't receive the money, but they receive like trainings or economic empowerment, other economic empowerment program. And they also receive kind of social assistance because the family, some of them that the former combatants already died. So the widow, the orphans, they receive some of social assistance. Each month they receive with different number like 500,000 or 1 million, depends on the Aceh Integration Body. So the number, actually, the amount of money are decided by Aceh Reintegration Body. So not different with what you have planned in the law. You have determined the amount of money, so it will be good. But in Aceh, it is different story that the number amount of money give to the widow, orphan, the victims of conflict determined each year by the agency, so independent agency. So it is kind of very dynamic. So sometimes that in this year they receive the money, but in another year the agency feel that you already got the job, so you don't receive the money. So that's the way the integration process. And who facilitate the reintegration processes? So did you create independent body? Yeah. So I have told you before that there was an agency called Aceh Reintegration Agency, and changed into Aceh Peace and Reintegration Agency, changed again into Aceh Reintegration Peace Strengthening Agency, and back into Aceh Reintegration Agency. So the name was changed 4 times, but the function is quite similar to facilitate the integration of former combatants, victims of conflict, prisoners of former political, former Indonesia militaria, etc. So the function are the same, but the name was different. But the structure of organization was quite different. But here in in 2006, one important organization which can contribute significantly to the success of the reintegration is Joint Forum for Peace. So it is kind of organization to allow former combatants to participate in the policy making process, especially in the body. So when previously the body determine who will receive the money, how much. In this case, a GAM, they have a forum to criticize, to provide input. The forum is Joint Forum for the Peace. So it's kind of forum for GAM ex-combatant to support, to help the reintegration process. And then what is Aceh Reintegration Body? Aceh Reintegration Body is a body to create strategies, programs, and policies to facilitate the integration of former combatants, former political prisoners, victims of the conflict, and the family members of GAM who already died, and to supervise the empowerment programs. So here, so you can see the membership of the agency consists of Collective Forum for Aceh Peace. It is kind of the forum for former combatants. The executive body, it is a body who execute the programs. And the supervisory body, it is a body who supervise and also oversee the programs. And there are 4 important programs for the reintegration program. So your economy, politics, social welfare, monitoring, and evaluation. So there are 4 main programs to facilitate the reintegration process. And then here, how I have mentioned before that combatants are the former combatants were facilitated in a forum called Joint Committee for Peace Forum. So you can see here actually how the Joint Forum the reform. So actually GAM already has the structure. We call it GAM Exile Cabinet. So they form a kind of government system. There were some president, there were 1 president, vice president, ministries, a supreme commander, etc. But after the 2006, the structure were dismissed and they created a new structure called Majelis. This Majelis then established an organization called Aceh Transition Committee. Aceh Transition Committee has functioned to help the agency to facilitate the reintegration process. And the Aceh Transition Committee sends the delegates into the Joint Committee for Peace in the Aceh Reintegration Body. And then this Aceh Transition Committee become an infant of Aceh Party. So they you can see here there was a shifting from the military insurgents to the political struggle. So here is also play important roles to the success of the reintegration because GAM has opportunities to transform their fight from the military action into political arena. So they create Aceh local party. And here also there was a forum called Joint Committee for Peace Forum in the Aceh Reintegration Body, which consists of many GAMS delegation. So that's how combatants are facilitated to be active in the reintegration. So it can be very useful to the body. So consists of GAMS and also some of delegates from the government. So, and here are the programs. There are 4 programs. Politic reintegration. So it helps former combatants, especially the elite ones, to secure political power in Aceh. So there are two ways. The first, establishment of local political parties, and they can propose their candidacy for the governor election in the governor election. And also the political reintegration helps all political prisoners to be to gain their political right, to gain their social right and economic right. So it's kind of citizens rehabilitation. And the second one, economic reintegration. In the beginning, government of Indonesia provided reintegration fund in form of the cash assistance to start their life. So 3,000 combatants, they receive about 25 million per combatants to start their life in the society. And later on, after that, they receive some economic empowerment programs like job training, etc. And also the governor and Indonesian officers, they endorse those former military combatants to become employee in government office, and also in agency called BRR. It is of a reconstruction and reconstruction and rehabilitation agency, which has functioned to rehabilitate Aceh after tsunami. So there are a lot of work opportunities there, and former combatant can apply for the job, and they got the job. For example, the secretary of the BRR, the reconstruction agency, was former combatant, Tengku Kamaruzzaman, and around 800 former combatants, they are working for the BRR, this agency. So they got the short-term projects, they got the jobs already, and some of them they create companies, and they got like a privilege to conduct the reconstruction project, like become an entrepreneur in the reconstruction. And for other combatants, they went back to the village. They work as a farmer or as sellers, etc. And for combatants who were not able to work, like disabled person, women, actually women, they for women that they have limitation to work, because a lot of job in labor area. So many of women, they do not have ability. So they receive social assistance from the Aceh reintegration program. But the assistance in the first phase only 6 months. So they receive the money every month for 6 months, and later on it revised continuously based on the progress of the former combatants and the victims. And so there are the reintegration program. Most program are related to economy, so it aim at helping former combatant to start their life. So and then this is the social assistance provided for the beneficiaries. For combatant, 25 million per person were provided to start their life. For non-combatants, 10 million per person. For political prisoners, 10 million per person. For Indonesia militia, 10 million per person. For GAM who surrender before MOU, 5 million, etc. So this kind of compensation were distributed to former combatants and also other groups as beneficiaries to start their life. However, I would say that this is the actual the number, but actually the number of beneficiaries is higher than it listed. So sometimes the problems it becomes a problem when one combatant received the money, other combatant did not receive. So it creates heat tension in the integration process. And to solve that problem, then the money were given to GAM organization, so to Majelis, to KPA, and then the KPA the GAM organization distributed into their members. It can reduce the conflict, it reduce the tension, but later on, after a couple years, it creates a kind of like accountability because like leader of KPA, leader of GAM, then they distributed. Sometimes that people tend to accuse that there were some corruption here. So then the integration body was seen by many activists as a kind of tools of corruption, tool for corruption for the GAM elite. So it's kind of then the issue was changed in 2013, 2014. The issue was changed. Previously, the issue was about how to facilitate the integration. After 2012, the issue then changed into and the integration fund was corrupted. Then the body was closed, was shut in 2013 because of that issue. So many many non-organization in Aceh, they demanded to stop the reintegration program because some accusation of allegation of corruption happened at the time, etc. And then it's kind of the economic empowerment and then continues such as loan, training, job creation, etc. And one important thing that were not executed before is farming land provisions. The provision of land was mandated by the MOU, but government of Indonesia and local government of Aceh was able to conduct that in 2017 and 2019 to provide 2 hectares per combatant. So it should be there will be 6,000 hectares were given to former combatants to be cultivated. So that's the program of the integration body in 2019 to up to recently. And the next question, after those kind of program, was it effective or not effective? So it is difficult to answer the question based on only the assumption. So when I asked to Inong Bali, they said it's not effective because we didn't receive any money. But when I asked to other combatants, they said, yeah, I'm happy because I receive money, I can start my life. So we realized on a survey conducted by World Bank 2008. So the survey was conducted to understand how the livelihood of former combatants after reintegration process. The survey was conducted in 2008 and how the civilian people of Aceh perceive former combatants in their daily life. The result was very satisfied that there are 2 indicators to measure whether the reintegration process succeed or fail. The first, the hill tension between former GAM and government supporters reduce. So if the tension increase, the conflict then begin, escalate, and then the conflict then has become, the escalation of conflict become bigger, so the reintegration process can be said failed. Based on the data conducted by World Bank and other international organizations, only few and small conflict happens during from 2006 to 2010, and this conflict were morely related to political conflict. And so it can be said that the reintegration process can reduce the potential future conflict between the supporters of Indonesia and GAM. So it can be said that reintegration process can be succeed to reduce the conflict. And the second indicator, how former GAMs able to live in normal ways in the society. So actually, the survey said that only 7 out of 3,000 former GAMs which are surveyed said face difficulties in returning to the village. Only 7. So actually they didn't have any difficulties to join into the society. And 90% of people of Aceh, they accepted the former GAMs. They can be friend of the GAM and they can join in the society. So 90% said that they accept the former GAMs. Only 10% that they didn't accept the former GAM. And other surveys said that 85% of former GAM has occupation. So from 3,000 former GAMs, 85% of GAM has occupation, 20% of GAM has part-time occupation, only 1% were unemployed. So it is the survey conducted by World Bank in 2008. And interestingly, the participation of former GAM in politics after the MOU was quite high. The governor in 2006 was the former spokesperson of GAM, and the governor of Aceh in 2012 was the former Ministry of Foreign Affairs of GAM, and GAM that transformed into Aceh Party. They secure 48% of seats in local legislation, in local parliaments. So actually GAM become a new political force in Aceh. So, and the participation of former GAMs in politics was quite high in this case. So from these indicators, it can be said that the integration was running smoothly. However, there are many unfinished jobs actually, though, such as some marginalized people, they still do not get the access into the integration fund, and also some issue about the poverty and some issues about the development in Aceh. So it is kind of unfinished job that need to be done by both local government and central government of Indonesia. And what are the key of success? It answered the research question number 5. So we found 3 important keys of the reintegration success. The first is the strong commitment of government of Indonesia and GAM. So Indonesia provided almost 1.8 trillion to Aceh as reintegration fund. It's quite a big money. Indonesian government also provided from 2008 until now 67 billion or 675 million US dollar to Aceh. So it is about 60 million US dollar as a special autonomy fund for Aceh. And the other thing, the commitment, the only Aceh province in Indonesia that can establish local political party. In Indonesia, to be able to participate in the general election, all parties must have their branches in 50% of provinces and 50% of districts in Indonesia. It is a quite very strong requirements, but for Aceh, they can establish local political party. It shows strong commitment of the government of Indonesia. On the other hand, GAM leaders, they show their commitment to prevent the violence by socializing the MOU and trying to maintain the peace. And the second key of success is the success of political reintegration. Most elites GAM, they have a good access to local politics. The 2 governors were from GAM's elites. And 48% of local local parliaments were from GAMS, former GAMS, because they secure about 33 seats out of 69 seats. And the third key of success, it is kind of blessing in the disguise. Aceh hit by tsunami, and in that process, Aceh was in the phase of reconstruction and rehabilitation process. So a lot of money went to Aceh, and a lot of jobs are absorbed by the international donors, by international project in Aceh, and by government project in Aceh. A lot of international donors and government project were happened in Aceh, and it creates a lot of business opportunities for former combatants. And then the key success, those three keys make the reintegration process running well. So then it can maintain the peace up to recently. And how about the issues? The research question is there any issues? I have not only I would not only tell the good things. Some problems happen in Aceh. First, about the data validity and reliability. As I mentioned before, the Aceh Reintegration Agencies it was very powerful. So he created the data, he verified the data, and distributed the money. Sometimes it is very easy to get the data from GAM because only 3,000 soldiers, well, although they have more than 3,000. However, how about the victim of conflict? So lack of data validity and reliability makes the Aceh reintegration body face difficulties in gaining the trust. Many former combatants that they were already listed, but after they were verified and they were not eligible, and they were angry and accused that uh, Aceh integration by agency to be corrupted, etc. So data validity and reliability becomes a problem until now. So it is quite difficult to provide a very accessible and valid data about the victims of conflict, former prisoners, and the women or orphan widows who are eligible for the social assistance. And the second, programs are not well integrated. So actually, Aceh Reintegration Body was the only body which is facilitating the reintegration process. However, in Aceh government, they have a lot of bodies who run the program for the society. So sometimes the program can be overlapping. For example, the agency which responsible for the social welfare, they provided different data with the Aceh Reintegration Body. So sometimes one person receive double money. And on the other hand, some people who actually eligible, they didn't get the money. So actually the program are not well integrated. And the third issue is about the lacking of accountability. So in 2013-14, a lot of money went to KPA, and a lot of Aceh people demanded to stop the program because it's kind of the tool for the corruption, etc. So the lack of accountability became a challenge and issue in the reintegration process. And the fourth is about the unfinished farming land provision. So based on our interview with the deputy for the Aceh Reintegration Body, the land provision has not finished yet because the local government provided land which are located in remote area. So it is difficult to cultivate the land. A lot of money needed to open the land. So then the land provision was not effective yet. And the fifth problem is about the female combatants that remain marginalized based on the Aceh case. And about the research question number 6, how to prevent the future conflict in the reintegration process. There are 2 scenarios to prevent the future conflict. The first is maintaining mutual trust by conducting several roundtable meetings with the elite of GAM and Indonesia. During 2 years, there were about 8 roundtable meetings conducted by both Indonesian government and GAM's elite, and involve former GAM in the policy-making process. And the second one, open the access, the opportunities for former combatants to participate in the politics. So establishment of local political party and the participation in the election become one key to maintain the future conflict in Aceh. To conclude this study, I would say that the peacemaking process took long and continuous processes, and there are key events to become foundation of the peace management, the decommissioning, it is kind of disarmament, about the handover of the gun from the former combatants to Aceh mission monitoring, then demobilization, the withdrawal of the organic troops from Aceh, and the reintegration process, and the self-government. So, and the third, the reintegration process consists of economic reintegration, political reintegration, and social reintegration. And there are 3 key successes: strong commitment of both parties, success of integration in politics, and the supportive situation in Aceh. So I think that are some information, some findings from our paper. And actually the paper already finished yet, but I think we can send by, I don't know, maybe tomorrow or this evening, because I need to check some typo or etc. Yeah, maybe as soon as it finished, so I can deliver the full paper to be used by MPI Desilongan to prepare for the bill. I think, thank you for the opportunity. I deliver the time and floors to Mr. Mahir. Thank you.
Yeah, that was wonderful presentation, Mr. Pak Uswanto. That's good. Yeah, I think we can open the floor now for a short Q&A with the MP Silongan. Do you have comments from the presentation or insights?
Yeah. By the way, thank you very much, Dr. Coswanto, for the very comprehensive and informative presentation that is very potential to be used by our government. And I am reflecting for some issues that might be also become issue in our situation. We have similar situation that I am thinking of, that it's very, very crucial that it will also happen here. For example, is you have ex-combatant who receive assistance from the government, from 3,000 combatants, and there are still not involved on several programs. And on our side, a very, very huge combatant. We have to decommission 40,000 combatants. And there are still remaining more than, because more or less we have more or less 100,000 combatants.
100,000. Wow, it's quite big number.
So I am beginning to tremble. How can we handle this? But inshallah, with our support from the government and the other supportive countries and organizations, maybe we can hurdle these challenges, inshallah. For only this time, we are on the decommissioning of 14,000 combatants at present. And the first batch of decommissioning is 12,000. And the government promised 1 million peso each combatant, and they just received only 100,000 for the first 12,145 combatants. And here is now coming again 14,000 combatants who just started this Monday. So yeah, I am expecting more issues to come and challenges to come. But we pray to Allah that we can hurdle all those challenges, inshallah. We'll just keep on doing our best and explore many partners and peacemakers, peace-loving citizens, so that we can help one another and we will reach the peace that we are dreaming of. Maybe our company in the team, Dats Sangkula, Brother Dats, if you have some clarification or whatever you can ask to our partner in Indonesia, who are very much willing to help us to craft our veterans law.
Thank you, ma'am. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon. This is just a rejoinder to what Minister Salonga said earlier. Thank you so much to Dr. Kusuwanto for actually it's a very comprehensive presentation, and it answered actually everything. It answered actually our questions that we raised to you. We still have to reflect on those answers to our questions. We still have to actually, as what Minister Sulong said earlier, we really have to reflect on what's happening to us, so that it wouldn't happen, no? On what happened in Indonesia would not happen here in our context. Of course, we have different contexts, but we have similarities in terms of the reintegration process. I have just minor clarifications here. I know there are various initiatives being undertaken by the government of Indonesia and the government of Aceh in terms of the reintegration process, and one of which is on the political side. But you mentioned there as part of the political reintegration is on you call it citizen rehabilitation. Can you expound further what is citizen rehabilitation in the context of political? That's my first question. What is it? What kind of rehabilitation is this? A rehabilitation of the damaged communities, or is part of because you put that under the political aspect of citizen rehabilitation? Yeah, that's my first question, and I have second one.
Okay, please. So, shall I answer or shall I wait for the second one?
Maybe you will answer it first.
All right. So, I got surprised with what Ms. Aida Silongan said, that you have more than 100,000 militia, 100,000 combatants. It's quite very challenging, I think.
Yeah.
And I think the most important from the 100,000, I think you have a lot of faction inside. So the most important things here is maybe you have to calculate what faction in this 100,000, and it is very important to facilitate each faction to be able to be represented in the body if you want to create independent body. I think that's very important because otherwise, then the people who dissatisfied with the policies, they will create a new kind of
Not broke.
action that is contradictory with our approach. I think that's also very important. And for the question from Mr. Dutz, it is kind of political rehabilitation. So many former combatants previously who worked in politics, like they exiled to Sweden, for example, like Hassan Tiro, and they exiled to like Zaini Abdullah. Actually, the government taken their citizenship, for example, and then the citizenship then be rehabilitated so they can regain their citizenships. And also some political prisoners, their political right were taken by the government. So the verdict in the verdict of the court said that besides they had to go to the jail, they have no right in politics. So the kind of verdict then abolished, and the amnesty were given, and the other things such as the some organizations which are affiliated to GAM were not allowed, and then the prohibition then were taken. So any organization affiliated to GAM can become a non-government organization again. So this kind of rehabilitation, I mean, political one. So I think that's the answer, Mr. Thank you.
Thank you, Doc. What also impresses me personally in the presentation and as well as what you have done in action is the way how you categorizes the different beneficiaries, for example, like the combatants, the ex-combatants, the ordinary citizens affected by the conflict and others. Because meaning uh, it addresses different sectors and different groupings, not only the ex-combatants but also the ordinary citizens who have been affected. That is also a good reflection to us when we will be.
Sorry, I can't hear you
Not very
well.
clear, yeah.
Yeah, it is not clear from here, so I can't.
Maybe my internet connection.
Could you repeat, please, if you don't mind?
Ilapit-lapit mo, Brad, that's ang phone mo.
Okay, great. All right. I'm okay now. Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay. Okay, thank you for that answer, Doc. Actually, what impresses me also with your presentation, the way how the way how the government actually categorizes the different beneficiaries, not only the ex-combatants but also other, for example, the victims, no, the citizens, the ordinary citizens, because that is a good also reflection to us as we are now undergoing. Actually, we will be in soon as we will be filing a or for the creation of the ano yun, ma'am? Justice Commission. Ma'am, yung sa Justice ma'am, ma'am Aida. Ma'am, nakamit ka.
Yeah.
Transitional Justice, ma'am. No?
Transitional justice. Transitional
Yes.
justice.
So thank you, ma'am. So we will be filing in maybe the next few months the transitional justice for the creation of the commission to address the transitional justice. And that also includes not only the combatants, the ex-combatants, but also the citizens being affected by human rights violations and all these atrocities. And it's a good reflection. What you have done in Anchi actually is a good reflection to us to look at those. No, but talking about beneficiaries, this is again another another difficulty, and I'm sure you have already presented earlier about the issues and challenges in terms of you know uh, effectively and accurately determining the beneficiaries, the number of beneficiaries. So some of them are saying that they were not able to benefit, and that's also a good reflection to us because we might be experiencing this, and in fact, we have already experienced that in the past, during the negotiations with the MNLF, with the
Yeah.
Moro National Liberation Front, and we might experiencing the same, in terms really
Yeah.
of identifying who are the victims, who are the combatants. No, we call it here mujahideen and mujahidat. No, how are they going to be determined to be um, what is this vouched by the leadership, for example, of the front of the MLF and the MLF. And then those are things now. My question is how, because you actually stated the numbers, of beneficiaries, and
Yeah.
I'm sure these numbers have undergone a validation process. But can you
Yeah.
tell us briefly how was the process really of identifying
Oh yeah.
the beneficiaries? Were there survey undertaken and things like that?
Okay. Okay. Thank you. It is a very also crucial to determine the data, determine who are eligible and who are not. So for combatants, actually, the data derived from the KPA, Aceh Transition Committee, which is actually the GAM organization. So they have the data about their own members. So in the MOU, only 3,000, because 3,000 members, 3,000 former combatants were the combatants who has the gun actually. So it's kind of top ranking of the gun military. And the other the data about the other beneficiaries is GAM who are not in the front of the battle. So it's kind of the like in the kitchen, etc. So it is kind of the GAM members who support but not become an armies. So the data came from the KPA, from the GAM organization. And the third one, the GAM who already surrender. So it is very important. Some GAM, they already surrender and become a civilian and support Indonesian government. So the number of the GAM who already surrender came from the Ministry of Justice, Law and Justice. So they have a lot of the data for the GAM who already rehabilitated, and because they surrender, they join Indonesia. So the data came from the Ministry of Law and Justice. And the other one, the other beneficiaries are Indonesian pro-militia. So beside GAM, Indonesian armies, they also created kind of militia to fight the GAM. So the militia, the data come from militia came from the national army. So actually they create this organization. So the national army give the data. And the hardest part is to determine the victims of the conflict. Uh, the deputy of the integration agency said in the beginning that all the victims of conflict they apply for the programs. So actually in Aceh, a lot of victims of conflict they have to apply, and later on the Aceh Reintegration Agency, they verified their application. It is quite difficult. I know, and Mr. Amni said that it is the hardest part of the
Yeah.
program, because people from the accident can also apply. We don't know what happened previously, and in order to verify, the only three resources were used. The first, witness, the witness coming from the neighbor. The
Yeah.
second, the verification from head of the village. We call it kecik here, head of the village. And the third, the verification from the head of this sub-district. So three main resources to validate the data: neighbor, head of a village, head of sub-district. So based on that verification, and the Aceh Reintegration Body then determine whether the application are approved or disapproved. So that's the way to do that. And the fourth, I think, the other who will be beneficiaries are widows or orphans, etc. So it is also very difficult because actually the local government also have the program for them. So it is kind of difficult ways to verify whether some widows, some orphans are affiliated with GAM or not. So in order to conduct that, the reintegration body relies on the data from the social welfare agencies. So the social welfare agencies, they put all people who are not able to have a decent life to be part of the beneficiaries. So it is kind of the coordination between the agencies. So I think that's the way. And I have to tell you also the truth, which happened. The number may be quite high, but when I asked the deputy, I would say that, are you guaranteed that all those people which listed in as beneficiaries receive that money? And he said that it is difficult to guarantee because for example, the CAM combatant, previously the money went not directly to the combatants, but it went to the organization umbrella of the CAM, and they distributed them into their members. So then he said that it's quite difficult to, but later on, after the data become more accurate, and the agency began to disperse the money directly to the beneficiaries. And another issues related to the medical assistance. So it is very unique about the medical assistance. Many combatants, they have disabilities because of the maybe grenades or any kind of guns, etc. They provide the medical assistance only to be taken care in local hospitals, but some of them need to go to the national hospitals. They're doing operation, etc. But the reintegration fund do not cover when they need some medical care in the national hospitals, because national hospitals are located in Jakarta and the transportation cost quite high. The cost also higher. So that's some issues that also need to be solved. Hence, many disabled person or people who suffer medication issues because of the conflict, they didn't receive sufficient services because of that, because the money is limited and also only help them in local hospitals, not in the national hospitals, which cost a lot of money. So I think some information that's can be added. I think it is very relevant also when you want to create the pills. You need to ensure that medical assistance also can be used not only in the local area but in the national. I think depend on how much money Bangsamoro have. Yeah, I think that's the answer. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Sir Kuswanto, for that answer. I think we already overshoot from the time. Yeah, for ways forward in this engagement, MP Salongan, you can invite Sir Kuswanto in other events like presentation his study result to other MPs, or
Yeah.
in the community level. You can
Yeah.
invite Dr. Kuswanto to present the same study results.
Yes.
So
Yeah. Thank you.
yeah, that's the ways forward, as well as we will share the documents, and here is a final report or a study to your office soon as that we get.
Yes.
So that's the ways forward. And I know you have a lot of questions, and but before we end, I'd like to see remarks from our colleague from Indonesia, Sir Agus.
Yeah.
Final remarks.
Thank you very much, Mahit. Yeah, I believe it was an interesting share that has been done by Pak Kuswanto, and as I said, the document is actually quite ready, and both of us has been tried to read through it again to check if there is, it's actually check more on editing wise that we have been doing the last 2 days. So hopefully we can finalize this either later today, and share it via Mahit to Honorable MP Aida. And I think we still have, we can talk to Mahit. Definitely can allocate more days if if Mr. Kuswanto is actually needed for sharing or further conversations with either Honorable MP Aida or with the other other MPs. But again, I think I agree with what I just mentioned, that the question that you shared with us at that time in our first discussion was actually answered quite well by Dr. Kuswanto, by, that he was, I think he was traveling to Aceh directly and meeting some people, and that's in this difficult situation, traveling to Aceh is indicating quite a strong commitment. So I would like, on behalf of Mahit and the team in WFD in Indonesia as well, I would like to appreciate that, Pak Kuswanto, for your willingness to travel.
Yeah.
And and we allocate only days, and we are not supporting the ticket and things like that for him to travel. So so again, thank you for that, Pak Kuswanto. I believe we hope, as we agreed with MP Aida, that we really hope to be able to share as necessary. Thank you, mate.
Maybe we can also hear some words from Flo.
Yeah.
I also thought the presentation was very comprehensive, and yeah, thank you, and thank you to the Honorable MP for inviting us and letting us share this project.
Thank you, Flo. Yes, any final word, Dr. Kuswanto?
Thank you, Mahit. I would like to thank to MP Aida Silongan, to FD, Mr. Agus, Mr. Wahid, and Mr. Flo for the opportunity to conduct this research and share the result, the findings. And I hope our stories can be beneficial to develop a good regulation instrument to help Bangsamoro establish more sustainable peace. And I hope it can be spread out into the world, that peace can be reached not by can be reached in both Indonesia, Philippines, and other world. And I hope the Bangsamoro will be another example, another good example which the peaceful can be reached through dialogue and a good commitment of both parties. I think that's from me, and I apologize for anything that might be a kind of mistakes that I have made previously in this meeting or previous meeting or in other occasions. So I hope we are able to have more discussion to you. So then thank you very much for opportunities. Thank you.
Thank you, Sir Coswanto. Yes, any final word, MP Silongan?
By the way, I have our one companion in the screen, Miss Munawara Usop. Is one of our staff in the office. Thank you very much to all of you, to Dr. Coswanto and Minister Agos and Flo. Yeah, I am very happy that you have contributed so much to our research for our reference in crafting our law for the ex-combatant of the Bangsamoro. So it's almost we have more similarity, commonalities. So I am reflecting that it is just a start, and we are feeling already what you have experienced in this very early stage of the transition period. So we are expecting that more challenges, but inshallah, with our great trust to the government and to our group, we are establishing our trust and confidence, because it will help a lot if we have more trust and confidence to both of the government and the MILF. And rest assured that if we need some more elaboration, because we cannot grasp it within 1 hour, but more or less I viewed already. I viewed already what is to be happen in our situation. But inshallah, if our bill will reach to the committee level, and if there are more information that we will need to support our bill to be passed, and I hope you will also be open for us, and we will still invite you if we needed to invite you, inshallah. So thank you very much to all of you, and Allah will reward you for your diligent research and presentation to this meeting, virtual meeting. And Mahid, thank you very much for your assistance, and hope you will not tired of helping us to discover more resource person and valuable input to our future bill, inshallah. Shukran. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Yes. Thank you po. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Waalaikum.
Waalaikumsalam
warahmatullahi
warahmatullahi
wabarakatuh.
wabarakatuh. Okay, then may I leave. Thank you very much. Bye bye.
Bye.